This episode of Behind the Video is brought to you by the Independent Media Network. The Independent Media Network helps journalists and content creators create their own jobs by building sustainable online businesses. If you're an unemployed or underemployed journalist or content creator, visit imntt.com for more information. Hey everybody, we are back. This is Behind the Video number 43, almost to 52. We're almost there. Joining me this week, as always, is the ever-talented Tim Street, who's back in Los Angeles after a week of festivities at South by Southwest. Tim, how you doing?
I'm sore.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way.
Thank you. I'm wearing green, but it looks blue.
Well, you got green in the photo behind you there. So
that's blue, but it looks green.
It looks green.
Yeah.
And my walls are green, so I'm good.
Yeah, I'm exhausted. Man. South by Southwest took it out of me. I'm a little sick, beaten, tired, but it was worth it. I went vegan about April last year, and at South by Southwest I did a cleanse, a barbecue cleanse, and boy did it taste good.
So this is the cleansing with high fat meats.
Yeah. So kind of my
awesome.
theory on this is that if you eat healthy, it's like drugs, right?
Right.
Alcohol's a drug, right? If you have alcohol every day, all the time, 24 hours a day, probably not a good thing, right?
Right.
But if you take care of yourself and occasionally have alcohol, you're not likely to hurt yourself that much. And that's kind of how I look at meat is that if I stay away from it and dairy as long as I possibly can, is probably good. And then occasionally have a little splurge.
And that's how you do it.
Of course, I did protect myself with alcohol while I was there as well.
So you did it all.
Our fellow podcasters, John Wallen and Christopher S. Penn, who do Marketing Over Coffee, which is a fantastic podcast if you haven't checked it out, they always refer to South by Southwest as the greatest single opportunity to ruin your personal brand. And they are absolutely true, that statement.
And there's cameras everywhere to capture it all, right?
Yeah, although this year, I didn't see any bad behavior. It was great. I set up a lot of meetings ahead of time, so most of my mornings and afternoons were spent meeting with people. And then I caught one session other than my own, and that was Jeffrey Tambor's session. He's amazing from Arrested Development. He does a session with two actors, a guy and a girl, and he'll have them come in, they read a scene, and then he's like, no. He doesn't even let them read it. They get out like 2 words, and he starts directing them. And he takes them from an okay read to an incredible performance. And it's really funny and fun to watch.
Oh, that's great.
If you're ever at South by Southwest, I highly recommend that session.
Is that available to watch anywhere?
I don't know if it is or not. I haven't paid attention, but it is absolutely fantastic. And then I didn't get to see any movies, but I did catch a few bands that showed up at parties because I went to parties every night. There were some great lounges, like the Samsung Blogger Lounge is always a fun place to go to that Brian Solis and Steph Augusta put on. And then the Chevy Tweet House, which was in a bike shop, which I thought was really interesting. They had a barbecue spread like you would not believe. It was amazing. And they had speakers there as well. And then My Damn Channel had an event with Subway and IFC where they brought in filmmakers who had done some web series that were sponsored by Subway, and so they had to kind of work Subway somehow into the web series, and that was really fun to
little product placement kind of thing.
Yeah, and My Damn Channel's Daily Grace was the host, and she was awesome. It was a great event. So really, really fun stuff. If you ever get a chance to go to South by Southwest Interactive and you're in this web video space, great party by What's Trending and Fullscreen, where there were some fun high-level web video people there that I got to rub elbows with, and it was just a fun time.
That's great. Well, you have a little bit more for us at the end of the show for South by Southwest, things that you found interesting for independent providers. So we'll talk about that. But the big story this week so far, and this is something I am going to mourn. And we've seen cloud services come and go, and we can move on and live. But Google Reader going the way of the dinosaur on July 1st. Google is just killing it. And I think, it's funny. It didn't surprise me because they've been cutting back on some of the things that Reader once did, a lot of the public feeds and some of the other stuff that they were doing that I always, of course, found useful. It seems like that this was a really geeky product for us real hardcore geeks that used it, and they never found a way to monetize it. So, Tim, what do we do now?
Well, if you go on Twitter and put in Google Reader, you'll see that there are a lot of people that are working on or say they already have a substitute. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. Hopefully somebody will build a better if you look at Flipboard is kind of a Google Reader, right? It's a little bit more elegant. It's just you can't wrap up an RSS feed of things and send that someplace else, which I think is one of the valuable tools. Like, say that you wanted to make a RSS feed of every video that came out about web video. Something that mentioned web video in the title, or web series in the title, or any news about web series. And then you could roll all that up into an RSS feed and have that RSS feed published someplace else, on your website. So, but there's RSS feeds everywhere. Twitter's an RSS feed, iTunes, it's prevalent. It's just the way that Google did it, there'll be a replacement. So it's just not going to be Google.
Right. RSS is not going to die here. It's just going to be resurrected. Now, what I do with our independent media network is we have an email blast that goes out with all of our member content every morning. And I use Google Reader to pull all that stuff together. I throw it out over to MailChimp, and MailChimp pushes it out every morning. And it's an amazing workflow. And I'm hoping that somebody comes up with a way to make that RSS aggregation possible once more, because that's a big thing that I use it for quite a bit. So, and we talked about this a little bit, Tim, before the show, and I was pontificating perhaps that a lot of innovation in RSS, at least for free services, was kind of dead because Google really, it wasn't a perfect product, but it really was the perfect product for most people. So hopefully things will come about here. I use Flipboard every night, as a matter of fact, for how I use Google Reader on my iPad. So I know that will still work, but hopefully some of this other stuff will follow. But we'll keep an eye on it because it's important to all of our folks, and iTunes and all the other people that use it aren't going away. So at least that will continue. Should we look at some top 10s?
Yeah, roll through them, man.
We'll roll through them real quick. So American Idol still struggling in the TV broadcast realm in number 5 and number 4 this week. So and apparently they were on Tuesday, Thursday, and Wednesday, so that gave them the top 3 positions. The bottom 3 positions of the top 5. 2.5 Men at number 2, Big Bang Theory number 1. You can almost write this same list every week. Cable, almost a similar thing. WWE number 5, Duck Dynasty 4 and 3, and these are around 8 million viewers each for Duck Dynasty. Get those duck calls out. The Bible still doing well on the History Channel, but The Walking Dead, people still prefer the zombie apocalypse to the Bible. So Walking Dead is
better Sunday night fare.
Yeah, I think so. And you know what? You don't know the ending of The Walking Dead. You certainly know what happens at the end of the Bible. So,
well, it's kind of the same thing, right? It's Revelations, right?
Yeah, it's a revelation. It's a matter of what you think it's going to look like. But
there you go.
As for me, I'll live my life to the fullest here. And happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way.
Top of the morning.
Top of the morning to you. The Killing Season 3. It's going to stream exclusively on Netflix 3 months after it wraps on AMC, which is, I think, probably the shortest span of time between the end of a season and a start of a Netflix broadcast for at least something that's premium like this stuff. So
yeah, that's pretty good, right?
It is pretty good. I'll tell you what, I started watching House of Cards last night.
Yep.
Have you seen it yet?
Yeah.
It is. I liked it. I don't know what you thought of it, but
I blew through it. I was like, I missed work for a week.
I was up to 2:00 in the morning. Oh, just watch one. This happens to me every time. This is why I didn't start it. But I'll probably watch this on Netflix now too. And it again builds this thing that Netflix is really going after HBO. They've pivoted now twice successfully. This is pretty pretty remarkable stuff. That
Well, you know, it's funny. The first pivot I don't see as a pivot for Netflix. I mean, as soon as I saw the name of the company, I was like, okay, I know where this one's going.
oh, so
You
you think
know,
it was a part of the grand plan all along to go into
come
streaming?
on, with it, yeah, totally, totally. They just had to wait for the technology to catch
Catch
up.
up.
Kind of like box office, right?
That's right, because the box office, Nikki over at Nikki Fink at Deadline Hollywood, busy collecting all of the weekend stuff, and apparently the big bomb of the weekend was the incredible Burt Wonderstone, which should have been a huge open and only collected $10.5 million. She called it a complete disaster, and that's with Steve Carell and Jim Carrey. So that was number 3 on our top list there. The Call from TriStar and Sony. 17.2 million. That's with Halle Berry, and that one's doing better than people thought it would do. So how about that? And then Oz the Great and Powerful from Disney is still running strong at the top position with
Shot on the red camera, by the way.
shot on the red camera. Which one? The Epic?
On the Epic.
That's a nice camera. I got to play with one of those, and I didn't know what the hell to do with it. It was
Oh yeah.
I felt
I
I got it
was
to work, but it was like, wow, this thing's like just about out of my league, you know?
Yeah, my buddy Ted was speaking yesterday at some networking breakfast, so he invited me along, and you know, had the Epic there, and was chatting, and then afterwards he let all the people come up and play with it, and it was like watching kids in a toy store, you know, all these old guys with gray hair. Like,
Whoa,
oh wow, if we'd had this when I was a kid, and, you know,
right.
it was great.
And you know what? You can do a lot with a digital SLR that might not be as good as a Red Epic, but would certainly give you a lot of those same film concepts that you would pick up with that later. So pretty remarkable stuff. So we have a new list this week, too, the video on demand rankings. And Twilight Part 2 is on top of that. And I think this kind of consolidates, Tim. This is like iTunes and everything, right?
Yeah.
So Twilight Breaking Dawn was number 1. I have no interest in that whatsoever. Wreck-It Ralph, though, which I did see, I thought that was wonderful. That's number 2. Red Dawn, the remake, number 3. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. I'm a Redbox guy, though, Tim. You know, I kind of like the $1.50 versus the $4 thing.
And they've got streaming coming out here pretty quick, right?
They do. In fact, it is out, and you get it's like same price as Netflix, but you get freebies at the kiosk too, which is a pretty nice deal. But their
freebies.
selection, freebies.
Like what, Milk Duds or
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, you get a movie.
Twizzlers.
You can drive to your nearest kiosk and get a free movie out of it. So I think they give you a couple a month, and you know, and it helps because their selection is not nearly as good as Netflix is. So
keep DVD alive.
that's right. And you know what? If anything, I think for Redbox, having that monthly fee might actually generate more revenue for them, just because it'll. You know, it keeps you. You know, right now there's nothing tying me to Redbox. I go and pay my $1.50, and if I don't come back next month, they don't get any more money out of me. So I think this might be a way of locking people into their main business, which is still giving you those discs out of the machine. So what a distribution effort that's got to be.
For sure.
So what else we got on here? Argo Playing for Keeps is number 5. Skyfall, Flight, Anna Karenina, Sinister, and The Six Souls are the 10 on the list this week from the video on demand. And it looks like it's video on demand is becoming where a lot of these movies are going before they even hit disc. So Red Dawn, Argo, all those are not out yet on Blu-ray, right?
Who knows? It looks like the model's totally changing to where, you know, you could start in video and go to TV, or you could start in TV and go to Kickstarter.
Right, just like Veronica Mars, the movie, Kickstarter record. So
unbelievable.
4 hours and 24 minutes to get to $1 million. And now Veronica Mars, that was a TV show, right?
That was a TV show for, I don't know, a couple seasons, a handful of seasons. I never even saw it.
I never saw it. I mean, I've heard about it, but I never watched it. But I know it had this really crazy cult following. So
yeah, apparently so. And they did some neat things with their Kickstarter campaign, to where they let you pledge just $1 if you wanted to pledge $1. They also let you pay $10,000 to be in the movie with a line.
Oh, really?
So there were some interesting ways that they went about it. And
now, how does this work? In like now, so are they planning to distribute this movie as a traditional movie, or are they going to do? I
think there's a deal with Fox in place, and I don't know the whole strategy behind it and whether or not Fox was behind the Kickstarter campaign, because, you know, it's kind of like when the studios are behind a viral video, or Pepsi is behind a viral video, or Chevy's behind a viral video. They can kind of seed it so that all of a sudden day one it has 1 million views because they've paid for those 1 million views, and then it catches on. I mean,
Right.
I tell people a lot of times that if you want a video to go viral and you have a lot of traffic on your own website, put that video on the front page of your website just for a couple hours.
Right, and that'll be enough to just get that.
And they're like, oh, no, we can't do that because, it doesn't. I'm like, look, do you want to jumpstart this thing and get it going? And people, they don't want to hear it. They just, well, why can't you just put it on YouTube and it just gets 1 million views? And I'm like, if you help it, you will be helping yourself and your cause.
And it will move
sometimes they
along.
just don't get that.
Right.
So.
And it's funny, people don't realize the power of their own audience, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. And what's funny about this, though, Tim, is that their goal was $2 million. By the way, there's 26 days left in this thing, and there's
they blew way past it.
They blew way past it, so they have $3.5 million right now. But that's not a big budget for a movie or even a TV show these days, right?
No, but you see how they shot. If you get a chance, watch the trailer that they did for the Kickstarter campaign. It's pretty amazing. If they shoot the thing like that, it'll be great. Everybody will love it, right? And you can shoot it like that for $2 million, no problem.
And I guess something too that's set in current time. It's not like some period piece or some sci-fi thing. It probably isn't that hard to shoot a movie like that. That just can be done on location.
Yeah, it depends on what the script is. But they did promise that if they get more money than what they're asking for, they will put special effects and nudity in it. So that's pretty funny.
Add it to the list. And you know what? I think they'll probably make quite a bit more than just the initial investment on the movie when it does go up there. So.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they do any other YouTube videos that rack up some points.
Like Nikola Tesla versus Thomas Edison?
Unbelievable epic rap battle, one of my favorites. I've seen a few of these and I love it. If you get a chance, watch this one. The whole story of Edison versus Tesla told in an epic rap battle. It's very entertaining. I have a feeling that there are going to be some science teachers showing this ones to the class this week.
Yeah, so they better be careful because it's not safe for work.
It's a little racy.
A little racy, but most of them tend to be that way. There was one they did with Snoop Dogg. I think he was playing Moses or something, and one of their. They do. I mean, they're really good. I mean, these guys have these are real rappers that they're bringing on. I mean, obviously the scripts are funny and kind of mostly humorous kind of stuff, but they really do a tremendous.
Yeah, and the guy that makes them does them out of his house in Venice Beach, California. So you got to love it.
Oh, he does it at his house, huh?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's doing it out of his apartment.
You can do a lot with a green screen. So next one, Hooters ball girl picks up a live baseball and tosses it into the crowd. Okay,
yeah,
so
apparently this is not the first time it's happened.
No, I saw that. Yeah,
season, but it's done like a true Hooters girl. She just makes her delivery and doesn't think about any of the consequences.
But what's frightening to me though is that she's sitting in a folding chair, like just sitting at the along the third base.
Well, she's out there to get the balls when they go foul.
Right. Oh, is that her? Okay.
Because that's what she's there for.
Because my luck, whenever I've been out on a baseball field, usually when I'm a player and I'm a horrible one at that, I always get hit with line drive balls. I
thought you were going to say when I'm out there running across the field, security tackles me.
Yeah, right.
which happens to me all the time. It's amazing.
I don't know why it happens like that. Why don't they just let us on the field and play with these guys? This is a great one. Number 3 is DeAndre Jordan monster alley-oop over Brandon Knight. 8.1 million views. I love watching these NBA clips because they're always great.
This one it's just a slam. It's
awesome.
Just the stuff. It is pretty good, but not as good as.
Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say the other day I was watching this recap video of all of Michael Jordan's best basketball plays ever, and all of them are just incredible. And he used to do this kind of stuff all the time, but
that's what I was going to say.
He's out of the sport now, but unfortunately.
You stole the words right out of
sorry.
my mouth.
I'm sorry. Terribly
That's
sorry.
okay.
And actually, somebody else commented on the YouTube video for that too, so that's where I got it from. So.
There you go. Does it make you want to do the Harlem Shake?
Not anymore, but but apparently you can keep milking this thing by now reacting to the viral video. And what was this one about?
I mean, the Fine Bros, the Fine Brothers are great. I love Rafi and Benny. They're at all the events, and these guys really have done a great job of making a living with web video. Hopefully we can get them on the show. That would be great. I don't know if they get up this early, but they put out these Kids React to viral videos, Kids React to I don't know, movie trailers. They've got a whole line of Kids Reacts. They do other shows like My Music is one of their shows. That's an original YouTube channel production thing, whatever you call them, premium partner. I forget the right term.
How it works, right?
The Fine Brothers is great. In this Kids React to Harlem Shake video, they show different Harlem Shake videos to these kids, and then they ask them questions, you know. And one of the questions that I always wanted to ask people is, you know, do you know what Harlem is? And a lot of these kids did not know what Harlem was, where it was. Yeah, so it's a fun little video to watch all the way through, but not as much fun as our number one YouTube video this week.
Pepsi Max and Jeff Gordon present the test drive, and now this is one of those, you know, again, and I think this model of developing the candid camera kind of approach where,
well, this is punked. This is punked.
But you know what? I think it's all fake.
I question but they say it's real, except that there are some shots that they cut in where stunt driver did driving.
Right. So basically, what happens?
Like cut in B-roll. Yeah. Do the set.
So basically, what the deal with this thing is that Jeff Gordon puts on a costume, goes to a used car dealership.
Oh no, new car.
Oh, it's a new car dealership. Okay.
Yeah,
so was this shot a while ago? Because it had like an '09 on the window sticker. Did you see that?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was like the '09 was in the up on the corner.
Maybe
of the
it was used, but I thought it was a new Chevy Camaro.
It looked pretty nice.
Yeah.
So he goes in there and, you know, gets in the car, and he's in costume, so you can't recognize him. And he gets this car dealer to hop in the car with him, and they go on a test drive. And of course, he does what Jeff Gordon does, which is precision, crazy ass driving. And this poor car dealer looks like he's gonna have a heart attack.
Yeah, he does. He does, man. It's awesome. It's just fun one to watch, regardless, right?
It was very fun to watch, and ABC's got a little story up looking at whether or not this whole thing was faked or not. And I don't think it really doesn't. I guess it really doesn't matter, right? But because it is great.
It's
video.
Entertaining, right?
Yeah, it really is.
Was the West Wing faked? Was that what? He was Bartlett wasn't president? What?
He's on Twitter. What the heck?
Come on.
But it was good. I thought it was well done, and you know, it shows you too that this, you know, save for the car or maybe whatever insurance they had to make sure they had before they hopped in that rental car. It doesn't cost that much to do something like this, right?
No, it's pretty cheap. They did have to make a special Pepsi cam with a hidden camera in it that Jeff Gordon placed into the drink holder of the Chevy Camaro. But other than that, they had a guy go around and stick cameras on the car, and then they had hidden cameras other places. So it was good.
Funny. It was good. And the car dealer at the end says, "Can we do it again?" So
yeah.
Pepsi did say
there's hidden cameras everywhere.
There are. You got to watch out.
You got to watch out for people knowing what you're doing. Like even if you're watching stuff on Netflix, somebody might know what you're watching because
they're going to share it with your Facebook friends.
That's right.
That is correct. So now, how do you turn this off?
I don't know, but it's coming out. It's supposed to be out like this week. So maybe it came out on Friday. But I heard it announced earlier in the week that they would move forward to integrate Facebook into Netflix, which, you know, that's in the new Roku box, I believe.
Oh, it's built into the Roku box too.
Yeah, I think it's built into the new Roku box.
So it looks like this is according to the Daily Online Examiner. This is from our good friend Jason Perrier, who collects all our stories this week. And I guess what's going to happen is you have to opt in on the Facebook side. So there is a little bit of action that you have to take. You have to give you have to give the social networking service the go-ahead to do it. So it's not going to happen automatically. But as we know with Facebook, things sometimes that you don't have to opt into one day may just become opt out at some point in the future. So you may want to keep an eye on that before you rent something embarrassing that you don't want your friends to know about. And this is the result, by the way, of a law that they pushed through Congress very quickly. Remember that there was that law about how you couldn't share someone's video rental data legally, and they had that reversed, and it got all the way through Congress without a lot of fanfare, which is very unusual these days in Congress, that you can actually get something passed.
Sometimes people aren't paying attention, and then whatever intelligence you have ends up shutting down.
Yes. Now tell me about this one, Tim, because this is a story you found this week. So Movie Review Intelligence is shutting down, according to its editor and publisher, David Gross, and he said that to The Wrap. So what is this about?
I mean, guy had a website where he was sharing data and didn't have a business model that was solid that could stick around. So, a lot of people use this data too, and it's just he can't go on. So they're closing shop.
And what kind of data was he collecting?
Just about the movies and who was watching what where and or how much money they were making, that type of stuff.
Fascinating stuff. Well, it's you got to pick your business model and hope it'll last, and otherwise you are have to start over with something new. So now you were at South by Southwest this week, and we're going to talk about some of the things that you found of interest to our independent video creator community. But first, we have our app of the week, and there was an app that you used quite extensively out there. It's been around for a while, but it looks like South by Southwest is the kind of place that this would really thrive. So what is this Eventbrite thing?
Sure. So Eventbrite, a lot of people use Eventbrite to sign up for events on their desktop. You get an email invitation to a party or some kind of happening. And they also have an app that you can use on your iPhone. And the cool thing about that app is that it lets you see what you've signed up for, what events you have coming up. And that's not such a big deal when, you've got one event a night in a week. But when you have 6 or 7 events in a day, it's great. It's better than a calendar because you can see the invite, you can pull it up, you can show it to somebody at the door if you have to have your invite, show it. And then it also lets you see what your friends have signed up for. So at South by Southwest, I can see what events my friends are going to and where they're at. And maybe I'm at a party that I don't know anybody and I just don't want to work the room. I just want to go see friendly faces. It allows me to see what my friends might be at. Then cool. I could use Foursquare and see if they're at that event. But it's pretty cool.
And I guess they can do if you're hosting an event, they can do all the ticket transactions.
Yep.
So you could do free or you can charge people, right? So
everything, yeah. Eventbrite is a really great service to have if you're going to have an event. It's also a great place to keep a lot of emails if you want to someday email those people and you need a safe place to keep them.
Oh, interesting. Right, because they collect all the emails from people who sign up for your stuff, right?
You can enter the emails in there yourself.
Oh, and they will email everybody out. Like you can do like a blast.
Well, if you're going to have a party and you have a bunch of people that you have their emails, you load it in and then you send them an invite to your party. But
cool.
You could also load their emails in and just not have an event yet.
Right. Got it. But you could have one in the future. So
right.
my app of the week, we're just going to recap the app I had last week because I'm still loving it.
Because you made them a lot of money.
I did, and I'm not getting a dime of it. So, we talked about Mailbox app last week, and now this week, Mailbox got bought by Dropbox, and Tim is still online for Mailbox.
Let me see where I am here.
What, about 500,000 people ahead of you?
Oh, let's find out. They have this little app. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a lot of people in front of me.
I see a white glow, but I would assume that there's several 100,000 in there. So, I've been using it now for a week, and my inbox is still empty, which is the whole purpose of the app, which is to get all this stuff organized and working properly. And I have to say, it is the real deal. And I don't think
not a fake app because I have 515,982 people in front of me.
Yeah,
81 people. It's going down. 80.
It's going down.
Yeah,
see?
Look at that.
It's happening already. So,
but
how much did they sell this for? $100 million?
$100 million to Dropbox is what I heard.
I mean, they could even give me 0.5% of that, and I would be certainly happy with it.
It looks like a pretty elegant app too. Is it?
Yeah, it's
very Apple-ish.
It's very Apple-ish. I think it. You know what it does, and like I talked about this last week too, is that it really accomplishes that goal of having something that comes into your inbox delayed and have it come back in later, and it'll actually do that on both the app and on the Google Gmail web version too. So you can get stuff out of your inbox and look at it when you have time to look at it. And I've been using it extensively over the last week, and it's been fabulous. The nice thing it does when you first load it up, and this is my suggestion, Tim, when you do get to the
when
head
I
of the
finally
line.
make it through.
Yeah,
what do you think? June, May,
June or July,
June?
maybe we'll see. Well, maybe all the resources that Dropbox will bring to bear will speed that process up for you.
I doubt it.
The first thing it's going to ask you to do is to archive your entire inbox. So you may want to just go through like the last 2 or 3 weeks and just make sure you didn't miss anything, and just set one of those. This is what a lot of the Inbox Zero people call the DMZ mark. Which is you just, Merlin Mann was the guy that coined this, is that you just set a point and say, all right, I am done. If I didn't reply to you and it's been 2.5, 3 weeks, whatever, just, it's not, you're not deleting things, but you're just throwing it into the archive to get the inbox cleared out. And then you just have to stay on top of it. But it's great because I wake up in the morning and, you just you can slide to archive, slide left to schedule later. I mean, it's really fast and it's awesome. So can't say enough about it. It was definitely worth $100 million. Maybe. So
as long as you're not writing
as long as it's free to me, it's worth $100 million to somebody else. So let's go back to our South by Southwest thing here. You had a great time, a lot of parties and whatnot going on. So what did you see there that people who are producing independent video should be thinking about? And is there any great new products they should be looking at? Are there new techniques? Are there new services? What was your takeaway? What are some of the things?
Well, I think the biggest thing for web video producers is that it really felt like web video had come of age in terms of the people that were there focused on video. SAG New Media was there. The Writers Guild was there. They were having events. So if you don't live in Los Angeles or New York and you don't have access to the Writers Guild or to the Screen Actors Guild, you could meet those people and find out more information. And then they had events, they had parties that you could go to. You could meet other creators at those events. So really the networking aspect of web video and the crossover into the independent film world were really strong there. And it depends on what your web video is about and what you want to do. But the networking was great. Also, once you get a ticket, South by Southwest has a social app. It's really a website more than an app on your phone, but it allows you to connect, like Facebook, to other attendees of the show. And so you can sort through all the attendees that are there for interactive. If you have an interactive badge, if you have a gold badge, you can get an interactive in film. And so you can see who's into, you tag your profile with what you're interested in. So video, web video, YouTube, social media, whatever it is that you're interested in. And then you go search for those keywords and you'll bring up other people, and that way you can set meetings with them or ask them if they want to have a meeting beforehand so that you fill your calendar ahead of time. There are a lot of great events. There are a lot of great sessions. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go to any of them, but I do know that a couple of them will wind up on podcast, so I'll catch those later. But that FaceTime is really important for nurturing relationships and getting new business, new sponsors, or new partners that you might be doing something with down the road that you can't afford to do yourself.
So a lot of great networking opportunities and that kind of stuff. Was there any new services launched that you found interesting?
This was the first year where, for me, I had people come up and they'd tell me about some new app. They'd tell me about. For me, it was an old app. It was Eventbrite. Was my friend at South by Southwest. I did not stumble across anything there that I found of value.
And I think it's kind of speaks not that the industry is in a maturity state, but I think a lot of the services that we need are out there and invented. So now it's more about getting these things filled with good content, perhaps. So it seems like maybe that's where the shift, because Twitter launched there, Foursquare launched there in the past, but it seems now it's more about getting the people making content on these platforms to.
Yeah, it almost felt like this year it was saturated with people trying to launch apps, and it was just like, it kind of jumped the shark. It's like, don't launch your app at South by Southwest. Somebody did put out a rule of 10 things that you don't want to do if you're a company at South by Southwest, and it's a great list of things like you don't want to hand out paper, anything paper to people.
Right.
So, really think about when you're at an event, what the things are that annoy you, that people do to try to market to you,
right?
And don't do those things.
And a lot of them are just looking for users so they can get investors and then sell for $100 million like Mailbox might want to do, right?
Well, a lot of them don't know what they're doing. They're just, I have to be at South by Southwest and do something to make people recognize me.
Right, and it doesn't always work.
It doesn't always work. It doesn't play. If you're going to have a party at South by Southwest, beer alone is not going to get people to come to your party, was one of the tips.
Beer and barbecue, though, right?
Beer and barbecue will get you along. I
you
mean,
get the vegans to eat some ribs, right?
there you go. Think about, people are tired, they're hungry, they're uncomfortable. What can you do to ease their pain? And those are the things that you want to think about when you're, setting up a lounge.
Nothing beats some Southern comfort food, that's for sure. So now we've got another show coming up, Tim. You're going to be at NAB, which is a very
Yes.
different show, right?
Yeah, NAB is really targeted at equipment. I mean, there's a little bit of networking that goes on there too, but it's all about equipment. I'll be there with M Dialogue, talking about dynamic ad insertion across connected devices, and then I'll also be speaking about podcasting while I'm there. So I do have a session. I think it's on Wednesday the 9th at around 10 a.m. You can check the NAB schedule. And if you would like a free pass before the 22nd, if you would like a free expo pass, just tweet me at 1TimStreet that you want a free pass to NAB, and I will hook you up with a free pass to the exhibit floor.
Oh, that's a great offer there. So we'll
There you
tweet that
go.
out.
I think it's like $150 after the 22nd, but I can get you a free pass now until the 22nd of March, and it's the 17th now. So.
People should definitely take you up on that, because if you are into broadcast gear, this is the show to be at. And I was hoping to be able to go, but it's getting a little too close to my wife's due date, so I need to unfortunately stay put here.
There you go.
Because I don't want to have to fly back from Las Vegas, in a total crazed nut job rush to get to the hospital in time. So I'm going to play it safe and hang out in Connecticut, but maybe next year, because I had a lot of.
Now, once the baby comes, do you have somebody to fill in for you on the show, or are we just going to skip a couple of weeks?
I think we'll be okay, because I do the show from home, so
Have you ever had a baby before?
I haven't, but I hear it's quite an involved process.
Yeah, you probably don't want to do a show.
So
I won't have family come stay with you. Just sleep.
Yeah, that might be the case. We'll see how I do. I think I'm getting into something that I am not fully. We'll see. I think we'll play it by ear and see.
Yeah, my unsolicited advice: don't do the show and have relatives come stay with you and help you. You will be a zombie. You will be The Walking Dead.
I will be The Walking Dead. I've heard a lot about
and my other tip: take turns getting up to take care of the baby. Don't both of you get up at the same time to take care of the baby.
That's some good advice, and I think
a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, we have to do it together." No, you don't. You do not. The baby does not care.
We should do a baby show.
There you go, a baby
talk
show.
about how to prepare for this thing. So we'll see how this happens. But I think we'll definitely take at least a week off when the baby arrives, and then maybe we'll do the rest of the podcast with we can just hold the baby up, because people love to look at babies. That might help our
there you go,
our ratings there. So Tim, we are at the end of our show. So where can people find you and all your good stuff?
At 1TimStreet on Twitter.
And you can find me at lonsibon.com, and we do this show every Sunday morning at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30
a.m. Eastern, 8:30 a.m.
Pacific. Because we just did the time
8:30 a.m.
change.
Pacific. Yeah, look at that time change.
The time changes as well. But we do the show once a week, and you're always welcome to join us, to call in. We have a chat room, so if you're a little shy, you don't have to call in. You can just chat with us. So we have, just immense ways to interact with us. So please do. And we got here with Tim. He's the expert in this stuff. So if you're getting into the video field, Tim is the guy to interact with, and it's a great opportunity to pick his brain a little bit, like we do every week. So again, we're on iTunes and Stitcher as well. So you can download us on demand and listen to all of Tim's sage advice there as well. We'll be back again next week. The show is a wrap. Stories for this episode were compiled by producer Jason Perrier. Follow him on Twitter at JASONPERRIER. Behind the Video is a production of Ape Digital Incorporated and the Independent Media Network, LLC. All rights reserved.